So this is a painting by Robert Wade, and you can see a really good example of lost edges in the cellist here between the face and the hands and the cello itself and the cellist's body. But what's really remarkable is the pianist here and how he just merges with the piano. Okay, it's amazing how our brains can see where this pianist's arm is, even though it's a complete lost edge. Okay, the piano is a silhouetted shape, as well as the majority of the piano player. All you're seeing is this little area of his face and his hand, obviously playing the piano. Everything else is one big connected shape. But our brains just fill this in. Okay, we know exactly where that piano player's arm is going to be. We don't have to outline and spell everything out for the viewer. This is such a beautiful example of simplicity and the power of shape. Okay, and everything here is connected. The piano player is connected to the piano, and it comes down, and he's connected to the stool that he's sitting on. That's connected to the cello, and the cello comes up, and it's connected to the cellist and up into his hand. It's just such a wonderful example of simplifying shapes and losing edges. I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing that. I love that. This is another Robert Wade painting of Venice, and again, just kind of showing very complicated scene and how easy it would be to show an abundance of detail and found edges, especially with all those buildings in the background. But other than the windows that you see and the doorways and whatnot in the background, everything else in here is a lost edge. This building is a lost edge between this building and its rooftop, and it come in here and it's another lost edge, and it's another lost edge. Okay, we don't need to define those individual buildings. It's this edge that helps to define it. We know when this one comes down that that building ends. Okay, so resist the urge to just kind of keep defining and outlining everything for the viewer. What's really remarkable to me, and I haven't seen this in too many paintings, is how he lets this bridge, the underbelly of the bridge, merge with the background also. It's a soft edge. There's a darker color there, obviously, but it's still just a beautiful, fuzzy, lost edge. And what that accomplishes is everything in the background is secondary. It just kind of takes a secondary role to all this activity here, where there's more contrast and the highlights of the sun hitting these the gondolas and the gondoliers and everything in the foreground. Okay, it just kind of focuses the attention in that area. That's the point of losing edges and simplifying shapes, kind of developing a hierarchy in your paintings. All right, what a beautiful example of edge control and quality. This is just a simple little monochromatic study by Charles Reed, a figure study, and just focusing in on the couple areas of the figure that he wanted you to pay attention to. The face, obviously, it has a lot more care and hard edges up here, and then where the hand is grasping the foot, there's a little bit more definition there. Not much, but enough, much more than the rest of the painting. Everything, the rest of the painting is just a line, basically, the pencil mark and a couple of small lines, and just lost edges, lost edge, lost edge, lost edge. Okay, lost edge. The need just goes into the background. This is what's going to elevate your work between a rendering and a painting. Okay, it elevates it to something more when you can start controlling your edges and letting the viewer's brain fill in some of these blanks. Okay, another beautiful example, a figure painting by Charles Reed again, and he just really understood this is where those value studies are going to come into play. When you squint down and you see what's in light, hard edged, treat it as a shape. Okay, and then what's in the middle values and darks, let it join, let it merge, let that merge in here, let that come down in here and join with the leg, let that leg merge in here. And again, and even in this area, joining from one leg to the background. So simplifying, losing edges, hard edges, lost edges, everywhere. This is a still life of Charles Reed, another beautiful example. The pencil mark, the contour, and what's really nice in here, and I talk about this a lot in my workshops too, when you're sketching your work, try and do a contour line drawing. So when your pencil stays on the paper, you're thinking about connections already. Look at how the marks on here all connect, even this line in here, and it connects into here, and it comes up, and it connects into here, and it connects up into the flowers. You can see those pencil marks already his brain is starting to find areas where these shapes, all these disjointed shapes, connect and join with each other, and that allows him, to lose these edges in some of these areas, and it still reads correctly. And it's difficult to find that balance of light and shadow. I know where you want to lose them, but if you just kind of pay attention to where you need some definition, and where you can let things merge, and through those value studies, if you see two shapes of similar value, the shadow side of the vase and the cast shadow behind it, similar in value, lose that edge. Where the bottom of the vase comes down and the shadow it's connecting down to the tabletop, similar value, lose that edge. Okay, and then where the light is hitting it, that's where you need some definition, and the brain fills in the rest. The viewer can see that. This is a great example from Skip Lawrence's book. I show this all the time to my students. Everything under the brim of this gentleman's cap is one giant shape. From his face connects down into his shirt connects to his arm, up into his sleeve, back into his shirt, into his slacks, so that connects down to his leg. And you can see a little bit of the pencil marks in here, his initial drawing, but if you just squint your eyes even just a little bit, you'll see that everything in here is one giant shape, and there's plenty of information there between the white of the paper and the shape itself, that the viewer's brain just fills in the blanks, just like that Robert Wade painting with the piano player. Okay, we know where everything starts and stops. This painting in particular is going to be important. We have a lot of reference photos in this module 2 that have a lot of trees, and some of them with fall foliage. And I've commented on several of your paintings already in the group when you post them, to simplify your tree masses. Don't get so busy with them. Okay, and those are just background trees. This is almost where the tree line is the star of the show, and it's still really just a beautiful lost edge, not only amongst the trees themselves, but where they come down and join with the trunks, and then down and joining with the shadow underneath them onto the ground. Okay, all these lost edges, there's big simple shapes. You can almost see this as a value study translating over. This one I wanted to show you because it's a good example. You can see both steps here, the earlier stage, and how important it is to just stick with the silhouetted shape, and what happens inside this shape is your opportunity to find lost edges. Okay, so when you're squinting down and you've got your value study and you're going to replicate that shape on your color painting, have those puddles mixed on your palette and just treat it the same way as you do on your value study. One big shape. Don't even care what happens inside that shape. Make sure it's just a nice blending of loose wet into wet color. If you pay attention to the silhouette, the contour of that shape, that's what the viewer will see. There's no information inside this to tell us this is a house and a lighthouse and trees, okay, when you block out the silhouette. But it's this shape that tells us. It's the edge, okay? So you pay attention to the outside shape and what happens inside it. You have a lot of freedom to just kind of trust the viewer's eye to fill in the blanks. And then, when you come to the next stage, yes, it's important to come in and show the little dark above the fence and some of the little gaps between the picket fence itself and a couple of windows and the house and the rooftops and stuff, a few darks here and there. But you don't need a whole lot of detail to go from this stage to this stage to convince the viewer of what it is you want them to see. Hi, my name's Andy Evansen. Over the course of this year, I'll be discussing a lot of ways to improve your paintings with a focus on watercolor in particular. Watercolor is a popular medium, but there are technical issues that can become stumbling blocks during the learning process. Painting becomes a lot more fun once you've solved them and can start refining your craft. I'll cover topics that are unique to watercolor, such as painting wet and wet, the timing and consistency of your washes, the importance of drawing and negative shape making, and more. I'll also be talking a lot about how vital it is to have a plan. The transparent nature of watercolor means you're limited in the amount of fixing you can do once you've started, and indecisiveness, that's what leads to the weak, muddy paintings. Because this course spans a calendar year, you'll be able to see me painting outdoors on location as well as in the studio. We can talk about the differences and similarities of both. I've taught dozens of 3 to 5 day workshops, and most of the time, just as students are starting to figure things out, it's time to say goodbye. This course through Tucson Art Academy Online allows me to work with you for an entire year, so we'll be able to get into things that just aren't possible in a 4-day workshop. As an artist who also loves to teach, I'm really excited about the possibilities of this. I hope you'll join me.